Jedi, like my father before me.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The Force will be with you. Always.
What's up, guys? Hello to everyone who is listening to us live on YouTube right now, and welcome to another episode of Galaxy United. Before we get started, allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Trevor. You may know me as Trevor the Sith on Twitter, and I'm joined today by Olivia at Sith Lord Olive and Justin at CSI KFC. Let's get going with today's show.
What's up, everybody? Olivia here. So today we'll be discussing our top 5 Star Wars movies, and we will have 30 minutes of main topic discussion, and this will be followed by open discussion for the final 30 minutes of the episode. We just posted the poll of the day on the Galaxy United Twitter account, so be sure to go vote on that right now.
So the benefit to using YouTube live streaming is the chat, so be sure to send in any questions you guys have, and we'll try to answer them before the show ends. So with that said, let's start off with our first and only topic of the day, which is going to be our top 5 favorite Star Wars movies. So let's have Trevor start us off.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Okay. So this should be
is
fun.
gonna be fun.
Yeah, like Olivia said, be sure to go over to our Twitter and vote on that poll that we just posted. Basically, we're just gonna be doing like this poll of the day like every week. I thought this would be a fun one to do because I wanna talk more about it. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about this topic because I kind of want to explain my reasoning for like my ranking on these movies. I think some people are a little confused why I have certain movies placed in certain areas. I'm sure same with you guys. So
Yeah.
this should be
Exactly.
fun. But yeah, I'll kick it off. Okay, my 5th favorite Star Wars movie. Okay, we're gonna go in descending order. All right, my 5th favorite Star Wars movie to jump on the hype train with these two is The Force Awakens. I think The Force Awakens is definitely one of the best Star Wars movies. Like pretty much my top 6 are like at least 4.5 stars and above. So I mean, they're all great. But The Force Awakens, it's got a special place in my heart and everyone else's heart because like it brought Star Wars back to life. That's what it did. Just the hype leading up to it, and then it actually delivering the introductions to characters like Rey, my second favorite character of all time, or my second favorite Star Wars character of all time, Ben Solo. It's a great movie.
I thought you were about to say Rey is your second favorite character of all time, and I was like, wait, what?
When did this happen?
Did I miss something? Yeah. Never mind.
So yeah, super fun and rewatchable Star Wars movie. It has some of the best rewatchability from any movie I've ever seen. Can really rewatch that movie over and over again. Have a fun time. And yeah, so that's number 5 for me.
All right. This is something that changes quite regularly, my number 5. And I actually just changed it probably 20 minutes ago. So I'm feeling confident in this one. And my number 5 is going to be Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Now, is the movie perfect? No. But there are so many iconic scenes and moments that I just love.
Yeah.
And again, it swaps a lot with some other movies. I've put Solo in there occasionally, which is a
Really?
big shocker. Yeah. But
Interesting.
I think I have to give it to Return of the Jedi. Again, because of those iconic moments, the Luke's green lightsaber and that reveal is just so cool. And of course, the last fight against Vader and Palpatine. So yeah, Return of the Jedi at 5.
That's interesting. For me, my number 5 is Revenge of the Sith. Isn't it funny how Trevor has a sequel trilogy number 5, I have a prequel trilogy as my number 5, and Justin has original trilogy number 5. We're all just so unique. But I have Revenge of the Sith in my top 5, which a lot of people sometimes find shocking because they see my profile and they think, oh, she just likes the sequels. She doesn't like anything else. No, that's wrong. I like all the trilogies. But
Yes.
I just think that Revenge of the Sith is probably one of the most action-packed and most entertaining Star Wars movies, and also it's just so epic. I mean, everything with Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar, and like just Darth Vader and Padme, like it's so good. It's the culmination of like, because like from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and then we found out how Darth Vader came to be. It's epic. So that's why it's at my number 5.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is definitely a movie that I like. But before we get to that, we'll talk about number 4. So number 4 on my list is Star Wars: A New Hope. I think that this movie, when I think of Star Wars, this is what I think of. I think of the cantina. I think about Obi-Wan versus Vader. I think about the entire Death Star sequence. It's such pure Star Wars, and it just shows the creativity of George Lucas, and how great of a writer and director he can be. And
Yeah, can be.
we have, it's just like The Force Awakens, where we have introductions to such iconic and great characters that we love, such as Han Solo, and yeah, that's about it. No.
Not your favorite character of all time, Darth Vader? Okay.
I don't love Vader in A New Hope, honestly.
He's not even in it that much.
Yeah, he's barely in it. I guess it's cool when he quote unquote duels Obi-Wan, but
Quote unquote.
yeah.
Duels.
Yeah, so it's pure Star Wars to me. When I think of Star Wars, that's the first thing that comes to mind, Tatooine and everything. So yeah, that'll be number 4 for me. These are number 4 and up are all 5 stars to me. So it could really, it just depends on my mood, like where they actually place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Star Wars: A New Hope at my 4 also.
Nice.
I feel like it can't not be in the top 5 regardless of how much you like the other movies, only because it is just too iconic. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great movie, in its own right also.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, same reasons you said, great moments, and I feel like it can't not be in your top 5. So yeah, I'm going Star Wars: A New Hope at 4.
Yeah.
Guys, guess what?
No way.
I also have A New Hope.
There we
number
go.
4. Like, are you kidding me? This is insane. But
So
exactly
I
for
thought
the
you were
same
saying we
reasons.
were unique.
Yeah. Guess what? The more you know what I mean. Yeah, but for me, it's just I actually used to prefer A New Hope over The Empire Strikes Back, just because it was that was the first Star Wars movie I ever watched, so I have like this nostalgia connected to it, even though I just watched it like on TV, but I mean still, it's such a good movie. It's such a good Star Wars movie. Like, you have Princess Leia, you have R2D2, C3PO, and it's literally the start of everything. So I think it's the perfect Star Wars movie. So that's why it's at my number 4.
Yeah. That's it's just classic. Like,
Exactly.
just the feeling,
Like,
the nostalgic feeling that you get watching it. It's kind of can't compare it.
It's the perfect introduction to like this big saga, because like the Star Wars franchise is so big. Without A New Hope, we wouldn't have had any of this, and it perfectly starts off everything. So that's
Yeah.
why I feel like, as Justin said, it has to be in your top 5. Like, it doesn't have to be, because we all have our different preferences, but I mean, it's iconic, just as iconic as The Empire Strikes Back. Almost.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult not to put it in your top 5. Like, I cannot sing it. I cannot see it outside of my top 5.
Yeah.
So I think this is where it might get a little interesting, is number 3, especially for me. If you know my rankings, this one is probably the most controversial uh, ranking that I have. So at number three, I have The Rise of Skywalker. Easily the most fun and rewatchable Star Wars movie for me. From start to finish, I love how fast paced it is, and I love how it just gets right into business, and it's just it's got really great character moments that I felt I kind of wish I wanted out of the Last Jedi, which isn't that's not me dissing the Last Jedi. I just felt like the Rise of Skywalker really really improved on those characters that JJ originally introduced in The Force Awakens. I felt like this was a good ending for those characters. In regards to The Force Awakens, not necessarily The Last Jedi. But yeah, I love The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I know a lot of people have problems with it, but from just from what we got from that standpoint, and not like what we could have got or like how it could have been, but like from what we got, I think that it was just so great. Like, sure, I wouldn't have made Rey a Skywalker. I would have preferred she stayed a nobody, but at the same time, I love that she ended up being a Skywalker. Same with Palpatine returning. I think that I personally wouldn't have had Palpatine return, but at the same time, for what it was, totally worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I remember watching it for the first time, and because I had such low expectations for it. So when I walked out of the cinema, I was like, why are people complaining? This is such a good movie. And then I went on the internet and I saw everyone's complaints about it, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But now I love it again. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the way you feel about The Rise of Skywalker is how I feel about The Force Awakens. Like, the pacing in The Force Awakens is just perfect for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
it's just a really fun adventure movie. Both of them are. I think JJ is definitely good at that. He's got like that Indiana Jones type feel to his movies. So
Yeah, he comes from the Spielberg tree.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's number three for me. It's definitely controversial, but
yeah.
my expectations for this movie, probably some of the lowest expectations I've ever had for like any blockbuster of this scale. Um, I just wasn't very excited for it. The trailers did not get me excited. They did not. I thought it gave us some beautiful music from John Williams, and that's about it. I was not hyped for The Rise of Skywalker, and then I saw it, and just like from the opening scene like to the end, I was just like, oh my god, that was just so fun. Um, it wasn't extremely emotional for me. I don't think it was a great conclusion to the entire saga, but I think it was a great conclusion to J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens. So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. The more you know.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I was saying this, before we started to you guys. I don't think I've thought about a movie more than I have The Rise of Skywalker, and it bounces up and down in my rankings constantly. There's so much I love about it, and so much I question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, same. That's how I feel about it too. Like, there are
Yeah.
some things where you're like, okay, maybe they shouldn't have done this. Maybe they should have done this instead. Focus on this instead. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a movie and we can't change it. So sometimes
Yeah.
you just gotta work with what you've got. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I mean, of
Yeah.
course you can criticize a movie because otherwise we wouldn't be here having this podcast. But I
Right.
mean, constantly being negative about it and constantly complaining about it won't do you any good because you can't change it because it is what it is.
I agree.
So sometimes I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, I definitely
But
think
that's
The
just
Rise
me.
of Skywalker gets way too much hate. I don't think it deserves nearly as much hate as it gets. Like, I understand the criticisms, but there's some people that like push those criticisms every single day, and it's like, come on, like it'll be fine, guys. I promise it'll be okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there were things that I disagreed with, but like I said, at the end of the day, I still enjoyed it for what it was. Um, Ben
As we should
Solo
with
is
all Star
another
Wars
thing.
movies.
Yeah, yeah. Ben Solo's another thing though. Like I definitely would have preferred that he hadn't died. But at the same time, I was completely fine with it. I just maybe wish the execution was better. But yeah, there's just execution, quite literally.
Episode on the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, for
But
yeah,
we could move on. I'll do my number 3.
Yeah,
And
do
I
it.
don't. This
I
could
wanna
be
hear it.
controversial. I don't know. It'll tie into my number 2 and my number 1, only because I think it's important. Okay, if you see Star Wars rankings online, on Twitter, or whatever, I think it's important to understand that someone's favorite, Star Wars movie is really the one that's going to speak to them, the most.
yeah,
Like a lot of the people are going to have this movie as their number 1, and I can completely see that because I think I can acknowledge that this movie is it's more well made than my number 1. It's more iconic than my number 1, but my number 1 is just going to speak to me more. So my number
I
3
see.
right here, it's going to be Empire. Okay?
Yeah,
And now
Oh.
again, this movie can be in my number 1 and my number 2. But again, it's sitting at my 3. And that doesn't mean I don't love it, obviously. Again,
Yeah.
iconic.
I mean-
You have Hoth, you have everything. Of course, the Vader scene with Luke in the end. There's so much to love with Empire. I really, I think Empire is a masterpiece. 5 stars. I can't really say anything bad about the movie.
yeah,
It just so happens that I like 2 more Star Wars movies ahead of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have Empire at my
That's-
3.
And that's completely valid because
Yeah.
having something above something else, like as a favorite, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best.
yeah,
Right.
Because as you said, we all appeal to different movies and we all attach to like certain characters of different movies. And if I had to rank the Star Wars movies based on which were the ones I thought were best, my ranking would be quite different from what it is now.
Right.
So I mean, sometimes and immediately on Twitter when people see your ranking, they come at you and they're like, "Why is this there? Why is that not in your top 5?" And I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, just listen. Read my thread and look at why it is how it is because favorite doesn't necessarily mean best and people need to start understanding that sometimes."
agreed.
But anyways,
Uh-huh.
for my number 3, it is The Last Jedi. It would be at number 2, but it's been bumped down to number 3. But I just think that The Last Jedi is just, despite what a lot of people say, is one of the best Star Wars movies. And I think Rian Johnson just perfect. Like, I know it's very different from The Force Awakens, but it still works in my opinion. Sometimes I don't see what I do see that people have like problem with like Luke and stuff like that, but other than that, I don't see what the problem is because like you get Rey's character development, Kylo Ren's character development, even Finn's character development, and
Yeah.
Poe. Like every single character actually has a good character arc. Like Poe goes from this guy who just thinks he can do anything he wants to actually learning about what the consequences of his actions are.
True.
And
Right.
Finn goes from just wanting to save Rey to almost sacrificing his life for the Resistance. And if that's not character development, then I don't know what is. And
Yeah,
it's just, and plus, let me not forget, the cinematography is amazing. It's just the visuals has the best visuals of any Star Wars
yep.
movie.
It's the
in my
best
opinion.
looking Star Wars movie, hands
Absolutely.
down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love The Last Jedi. Like, it's definitely hard for me to not put it in my top 5. Same with Return of the Jedi. Like, I wish I could just like cram them in. Now looking back on it, especially after The Rise of Skywalker, I just kind of wish that it was the storyline was, I guess, a little more linear.
Yeah.
And we kind of got that sequel to The Force Awakens. Looking back on it now, I mean, when I first watched The Last Jedi, I thought it was perfect. I thought it was amazing. Like, I remember walking out of the theater, and I was like, that literally might be my favorite Star Wars movie, and I don't care. But it honestly wasn't until The Rise of Skywalker came out to where I was like, damn, I wish like we would have gotten all three movies from J.J. Abrams. And that's not to take anything away from Rian Johnson, because Rian Johnson is the best director that has worked on a Star Wars project. Like he is the best filmmaker that has touched Star Wars. So that's definitely not to take away from him. I just think that Rian Johnson deserves his own trilogy. Like, please.
Yeah. I mean, those
Definitely
two
does.
statements can coexist. Like, you can say, like, for me, I can say I love the sequel trilogy, but do I wish that it had just been one director and they had planned it a bit more ahead? Yeah, because of course everyone would want that, you know? They want, but as I said before, you gotta work with what you got. And I actually specifically remember after watching The Rise of Skywalker, I walked out of the theater and I was like, okay, The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker are so much more connected than The Force Awakens is to The Last Jedi, or The Rise of Skywalker is to The Last Jedi, because obviously they're going to be more familiar because it's the same director. And if we had that for The Last Jedi, it would be the same as well. But we didn't. And that's fine, because Rian Johnson made one of the best Star Wars movies ever, in my opinion, obviously.
No,
So,
it is.
but those
It
two
is one of the best.
can coexist. So it's not taking away what Rian Johnson made or what J.J. Abrams didn't make. So
Yeah,
just wanted
facts.
to get that out
Yeah,
there.
I really agree with that. But while we're on the topic of The Last Jedi, I just want to say that like that what that movie did for Luke Skywalker for me was like unreal. Like, it took a character that I basically didn't care about. I honestly didn't care about Luke Skywalker except for a couple lines in Return of the Jedi. And I thought he was a fun character to use in Lego Star Wars. But I don't understand how anyone could possibly believe that that ruined Luke Skywalker's character, when for me personally, it made him extraordinarily better. Like, it took this character that was kind of like really one-dimensional and like a very surface level hero character for me personally. Like, I understand, like, you know, think about what you want, like with whatever character that's, you know, people people see characters different ways, and that's completely fine. But for me personally, The Last Jedi elevated Luke Skywalker to something that like that I was like so shocked with, to make him like actually interesting for me, you know, like show that he wasn't this perfect character that, you know, was Luke Skywalker. You know, like Luke Skywalker is just Luke Skywalker. So yeah, I mean, I think that Rian Johnson, there's a lot of things that he did nail, and that's why I think that he more than anyone deserves to create his own timeline with his own characters. Like, I think that's the move right there. Like, I think you're just like, okay, Rian Johnson, you have three feature films that you get to release in 6 years. Do what you want with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't interfere with it. Just
amazing.
let him go. And guess what? That would be the best Star Wars trilogy.
Let's go. Well, yeah. I mean,
I mean, I differ from what, I mean, again, we're getting into a lot of different topics here, but, you know, I've always been someone who liked Luke, and then, you know, The Last Jedi, I love him even more. So,
Yeah,
no, and that's understandable. I don't understand why people don't like Luke in The Last Jedi. But if you don't, that's fine. That's all right with me.
Yeah.
You can
We're all
love
entitled to our
and
own opinion.
you can love and hate whatever characters you want. That's cool with me. Unless it's Anakin, you're not allowed to hate him. Sorry. No. So
we're at
we?
your number 2, right?
Me?
Yeah.
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 Number 2. Okay.
I just did my number 3.
Awesome. Sorry, we got a little distracted there.
Well,
Okay, so number 2.
mean-
All right, so All right. This took a lot of thinking because I was actually very much considering this. So a few weeks ago, I went to the theaters and I saw The Empire Strikes Back for the first time. Not the first time, obviously, but the first time in theaters. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Lucky.
I walked out and I was like, man, that might be my favorite Star Wars movie.
Man. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. For me, it is the most well-made Star Wars movie. I don't think that there's arguing with that. For me personally, I just think that from start to finish, it's just a really perfect movie. But I could not make it number one. I tried so hard. I was on Letterboxd. I was in edit, right? And I
Yeah.
could not hit save. I could not hit it. I was like, no. Like it's just impossible for me. Like I had to make it number two. Like I said, it's the most well-made Star Wars movie in my opinion. It just gives us some of the most iconic, not only Star Wars moments, but cinema moments. I mean, like seriously, think of a line that's more iconic than "No, I am your father." Like, there's nothing more iconic than that. There really isn't. Like, I can't think of any line in cinema that's like, oh, that's more quotable. Like what? Like, it's just such a iconic and well executed moment too. So yeah, I'll do Empire at number two. I was thinking of maybe switching a last minute, but nah, it's number two. Sorry,
You couldn't betray your number one.
I
Couldn't
I
do
could
it.
not. Yeah,
No.
we'll talk about betrayals in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, you also have to think about Empire's ending. I mean, where the good guys, quote unquote, the good guys don't,
Yep.
necessarily win in the end.
Mhm.
Even just Infinity War comes to mind.
Yeah.
The Russo brothers have cited Empire as an inspiration. So yeah, Empire is just fantastic.
Yeah.
It is.
Very
So for
inspirational
my number
movie.
two, you're right. For my number two, it's kind of the same thing that you have, where I can't bring myself to do it just because my number one, I just can't.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hard.
But my number two is going to be Last Jedi because I think it is the most well-written Star Wars movie. It's the best directed Star Wars movie. The cinematography is unbelievable. I mean, I
Insane.
just I look at screenshots. It blows my mind. And obviously, when I
Yeah.
watch the movie, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
When you just watch the movie in your head, it blows your mind.
right, exactly. The way it introduced this story with Rey and Ben, and then obviously the throne room scene is top 5 for me. I mean, watching the throne room scene in the theater, I'm the biggest Kylo Ren fan in the world, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh, is he gonna turn to, is he back? Is he redeemed as Ben? In my head, I'm thinking, obviously there's one more movie left in the trilogy. Are we gonna have a full movie with Ben Solo? There were so many thoughts in my head. I love the throne room scene so much. So, Last
Yeah.
Jedi is number 2 for me.
Amazing.
That's a good choice. Yeah, and my number two is the same as Trevor's. It is The Empire Strikes Back and I do agree that it is the best Star Wars movie out there, but I just can't put it at number one because of the special connection I have to my number one favorite Star Wars movie. So I can't betray it like that. So that's why it's at
Right.
number two. But we had like a watch party like a month ago, a couple of months ago, I think it was, and we watched it, and it was just it was so good. I actually felt like putting it at my number one, but then I was like, no, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It just doesn't feel right. But
Yeah.
when I joined Star Wars Twitter, I was scared to put my number one at number one, so I put The Empire Strikes Back there because I was scared of what people were gonna tell me.
Wow.
Like they were gonna say, "Oh, you're a fake Star Wars fan," This is a bad list, and I couldn't deal with hate at that time. Like I had like what 100 followers. I was new to everything, so I mean I couldn't deal with like rude comments or anything. So, but it's at number 2, and I do think it's the best Star Wars movie, but it's still at number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting, right? So we can
Very.
all agree that Empire is a masterpiece. Um, but let's talk about our number ones. Okay. So
Okay.
obviously, if you know me,
Away we go.
Uh-oh.
if you know me, you know Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. For a long time, for a long time,
No idea.
for a long time, it was my favorite movie ever made. But now it's like number 7 on my top movies list. But yeah, it used to be my favorite movie of all time, but it's there's just such great movies out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Wow.
you guys have
You're
heard
a
me.
fake Star Wars fan. So.
You guys have heard me
Maybe.
ramble on and on about how much I love Revenge of the Sith. I just think that
Yeah.
it's the best and most emotional story told in all of Star Wars. Such a good how do I put this, like, addition to Anakin Skywalker's character, because he was already an amazing character with his redemption at the end of Return of the Jedi, but seeing his actual fall to the dark side, you're basically seeing it in reverse. Is like really it's really heartbreaking and emotional, and it's really well done. Like you said earlier, it's so action packed. Like from the opening scene to the end, it's really fast paced, and they're going and going and going, and easily my favorite score of all time. Like not even just Star Wars. It's easily my favorite score of all time. I just think that the music is so good. It's so beautiful. It's just I can listen to it and get the chills every time. Like Anakin's betrayal, Anakin's dark deeds, Padme's ruminations, like all of those tracks are just like so powerful and so deep and so emotional, and uh that's kind of The Force Awakens is up there for me. It's probably
Yeah.
number 2 for me. Uh, I would say that's the only thing that comes close is the Force Awakens soundtrack, because I mean Rey's theme and Kylo's theme and the Resistance theme and everything, but
Yeah.
this right here, as far as themes go, it's not as stacked as like the Force Awakens or A New Hope or whatever as far as themes go, but just as far as being a really good and emotional score, like it's Revenge of the Sith for me. And
Yeah.
I also think that the cinematography is actually kind of like really underrated. Like I feel like we don't talk about the cinematography enough. Yes, there's a lot of CGI and green screens and a lot of VFX going on, but I feel like the cinematography was really good in that movie, and I would really like to see a remastered special edition for Revenge of the Sith. I think that it would be really good looking movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
good
would be
addition, too.
amazing. I've always thought that like they should do that for like the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, because I mean it would just make it
Yeah,
much better. Not that like I love them, don't get me wrong, but it
yeah.
would just make them way better. Like just much better.
Just don't change pod racing in the Phantom Menace. It looks amazing.
And don't change the battle on Naboo. I still want it to look
Yeah,
like a
that.
Microsoft screensaver.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That
love
joke
all
won't
Star
ever
Wars
get old,
movies.
by the way. That joke will never get old, by the way. It's
No, it
hilarious
won't.
because like you look at it and you're like, yeah, you're.
Oh
Like
no.
it does look like it. Like I mean, it was like props to him for. I mean, he for at the time for using so much CGI. I mean, that's pretty impressive at the time, you know. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's cool. But
Yeah.
you know,
But yeah, Revenge of the Sith is an underrated masterpiece.
Not again.
yeah.
When I
Alright,
say that,
enough
it's a
of that.
joke, by the way. All right, go, Justin.
Is
We're
it
moving
though?
on. We're moving on to my number one. And I'm about to say a lot of what Olivia's about to say, so
Bet.
you're gonna be hearing it twice. But
Yeah.
The Force Awakens is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. And again, I think The Last Jedi is, it's made, if we're just looking at a filmmaking standpoint, I like The Last Jedi more. But my favorite Star Wars movie has to be Force Awakens. Obviously, it introduces some of my favorite characters. And again, I think, the movie made $2 billion, so obviously it wasn't slept on, in quotes, but
Yeah.
you don't really see people talking about The Force Awakens. And I think that's just because, people found The Last Jedi so controversial, and people found The Rise of Skywalker so controversial. But The Force Awakens, I think, is fantastic. Such a great story. People say it's too similar to A New Hope. Well, that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams has to introduce Star Wars to a new generation, okay? And he wanted to have those parallels of someone from a desert planet, saving the galaxy. So I love The Force Awakens. Again, we talked about it last week, but those moments of Kylo's introduction, as well as his reveal that he's Ben Solo, there's so much to love in this
Yeah.
movie. So, and again, that feeling of sitting in the theater, December 2015, and watching The Force Awakens. I mean, Star Wars was back.
Yep.
And so it's that emotion, it's that nostalgia that makes The Force Awakens number one for me.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, same for me. I don't really have anything else to add. Well, I do, but because I became a Star Wars fan. I would say like June, July of 2015, and because The Force Awakens was coming out in December, so they were showing all the movies on TV, and I watched them all, and I was okay. I love this. This is so great, and I got so obsessed with it. Like I even had like a Darth Vader birthday cake. Like I was obsessed with it, and then my all time I got so many I got some Darth Vader like toy figures. I was just so obsessed, and then The Force Awakens came out, and I was like, okay, wow, this is the best Star Wars. Like, this is just my favorite Star Wars movie ever. Like, it introduces Rey, it introduces Kylo, Finn, Poe, and it somehow manages to introduce so many new characters and then still bring back Han Solo and Leia and Luke at the end, but he doesn't speak. So, but it's just,
Right.
and it doesn't feel too packed, and it's perfectly paced, and
Yep.
the soundtrack is it's just so good, and it's the perfect way to start off a trilogy, because it really perfectly, like the ending, it really set up the next movie, which I think is what makes it the best sequel movie, but that's
Yeah.
just me. So, and I saw it in cinema like 4 or 5 times, so
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely a movie that I saw many times.
yeah.
At that time, I was still a very casual Star Wars fan. I wasn't on the same hype train as most people were, but I was still very excited. Don't get me wrong. Han's death was spoiled for me, so I didn't go see it opening night. So that was
Really?
unfortunate. Yeah, the day it came out.
It actually
Awful.
It actually premiered here first, like in South Africa, before it premiered anywhere else in the world. Like obviously you had like the premieres in America and stuff like that,
Right.
but I think it came out on like the 16th in the US, but it came out here on like the 15th or something, and it was just like, okay, wow, finally a person living in South Africa. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, I got it spoiled for me, so my hype like kind of died for it like as soon as like I was about to go see it. And then I saw it and I loved it. I was like, oh my god, like the visual effects are insane. Like I don't think we talk about that enough.
Yeah.
They brought Star Wars back, but with like new technology, and the visual effects in that movie were insane. I mean, for that time they were insane. For now, you know, it's kind of becoming normal for visual effects to be that amazing. But we really don't talk about that enough. Like, and obviously it still holds up. I'm not saying that it doesn't. Like, but for when it came out, like, I was just stunned. That was probably like my favorite part of the movie. I was like, holy crap! Like, it's insane. But yeah, The Force Awakens it's a banger. It's amazing. I love it so much. But The Last Jedi is what made me love Star Wars as much as I do, because I was like, wow. So this is what Star Wars can be, right?
Yeah.
Even though The Last Jedi isn't on my top 5, like, the impact that it had for me, like,
that's good.
The Last Jedi was almost like The Force Awakens, for most people, but for me, you know what I mean? Like, the hype for The Last Jedi was, like, insane for me, because, like, I was finally, like, really into Star Wars, and then, like, I saw it and it lived up to the hype for me. And yeah, so that's our top 5. Yeah. Okay, so let's just do a recap real quick. Are you guys ready to recap it? Your top 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so
No, I completely forgot what it is.
okay,
Please remind
so
me in the chat.
So my top 5 is number 1, Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, The Rise of Skywalker. Number 4, Star Wars: A New Hope. Number 5, The Force Awakens. Justin?
I kind of want to change my number 5 now, but I won't. All right, so we got number 1, Force Awakens. Number 2, The Last Jedi. 3 is Empire. 4 is A New Hope. And 5, as of right now, it is Return of the Jedi, but it will possibly change in an hour.
I feel that. I feel that.
My number 1 is The Phantom Menace: Attack of the Clones. I'm just kidding. It's number 1, The Force Awakens. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, The Last Jedi. Number 4, A New Hope. And number 5, Revenge of the Sith. So I think that's pretty good, solid top 5.
Dope.
I have right there.
Yeah, it's diverse. I like it.
For sure.
Okay. So I'm sure you all have questions and thoughts about everything going in the Star Wars world today. So let's get right into them. If you want to ask us a question, just drop it in the chat and we'll get to them starting right now. So let's see. What should we start off with? So Sam asks, who would you pick as the director of the next Star Wars trilogy?
I think you kind of already said that before. Like,
yeah. Ryan Johnson, easily. But if I'm being honest with you, like, okay, no, but okay, I'm being serious here. Like, if I'm being honest with you,
I hope you are.
If Villeneuve was up for that, then it would be him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I thought you were gonna say
I doubt he'll
somebody else.
ever. Oh, you thought I was gonna say Lucas?
Maybe.
George Lucas. No. But if they did, if I just tweeted this the other day on Twitter. Okay, like, I think some people kind of like, misunderstood it, but I would be so hyped if George Lucas returned to do a Star Wars movie, or even miraculously a trilogy. That's not who I would pick. I don't think that he needs to do any other Star Wars movies, and I don't think that he's, like, even my 5th pick. He's probably not even in my top 5 picks to do another Star Wars movie. But,
yeah,
like, the hype to see a new George Lucas Star Wars movie would be just unreal. Like, just unreal. It'd be awesome. He's so creative, and the technology that he has to work with today versus 20 years ago, I think, would be very, very fun to see. But yeah, I would pick Ryan Johnson or Villeneuve if my dreams were to ever come true of him making a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I mean Villeneuve, that's a good choice. Mine would be Ryan also. I love Ryan Johnson. Knives Out is in my top 5 movies all time, and so is The Last Jedi. And of course, he liked my tweet, so we're best friends. I would also say
Yeah.
I think Taika could be a great choice. He's getting his
Yeah.
own movie, we know that.
Hmm.
And Taika's a fantastic director.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if they're like, if they're gonna wait to see how his first movie does, or maybe he only wants to do one movie. But in a
Mhm.
fantasy world, I think Taika is also a great choice.
Yeah.
That's also a really great pick. He'd be in my top 5 picks for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. For me, it's Quentin Tarantino. I'm just kidding. Please don't ever touch Star Wars.
Martin
Oh, God.
I love your
Scorsese.
movies, but
Yeah,
yeah, but
Martin.
please, no, not Star Wars. I don't. I mean, I think we already have a great lineup for the new Star Wars directors. So,
Yep.
I mean, I don't. I don't really have anyone particularly in mind. I mean, as you guys say, Villeneuve, or how you are supposed to say it, I think Villeneuve, because he's French. Excuse me.
Listen.
I hate it.
I just say it. It just
I'm
rolls off the
kidding.
tongue.
I'm kidding. No,
Denise
I'm just
Villeneuve.
kidding. I mean, that would be pretty good because I mean, he kind of already made like a science fiction movie with Arrival, and he's making Dune. So I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
Blade
not
Runner.
entirely okay. Yeah.
Could
Sorry.
you imagine?
But
Could you imagine Villeneuve and Roger Deakins on a Star Wars movie? I
Oh Lord.
oh,
Yo, I
wow,
cannot.
I'm getting excited.
I cannot imagine that. Oh my God. Sorry. Continue.
I mean, so it's not impossible, you know. I mean, Star Wars is becoming more and more. I don't know. It's branching out more. It's not just the Skywalker saga. Like it's branching out. So I mean, it is possible. Never say never.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
back to what we were saying though, real quick about Ryan Johnson. So I mean, Star Wars, they did announce that Ryan Johnson is getting his own Star Wars trilogy, and I still think it's going to happen. I hope that nothing interferes with that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I, I think that if anyone deserves it, it's him. And I mean, most people liked The Last Jedi, whether you want to believe it or not. Most Star
yeah.
Wars fans like The Last Jedi. There's just a very vocal minority that absolutely despises it. But trust me, casual fans love The Last Jedi. The people that make these movies money, and that's really all that matters to Disney. So they don't really care about your feelings on how they treated your childhood hero, because Ryan Johnson made an absolute banger
Oh
and it made
wow.
money. So uh, yeah. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, we'll move
so
on to the
You're
next
gonna wake
question.
up. You're
next.
gonna wake up to some angry comments tomorrow. Wow.
Uh, Next question, we got Deku Skywalker asking our favorite Kylo Ren moments. Now, that's a
Ooh.
tough question for me to answer because obviously every moment is fantastic.
Hmm.
Now, I could get real picky here. My favorite true Ben Solo moment is the shrug. Now, if we're
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
again, if we're saying when he's when he's Kylo Ren, it'd probably be. This is tough.
Yeah.
You're so
This
right.
is really tough. I like the "You're so right" moment in Force Awakens. Again, we
Yeah.
talked about it last week, but there's so much
I know.
in that line about his denial of his of his family. Sorry, I just read a funny comment in chat, but the "You're so right" moment is great. The shrug is great, and then the throne room is also great. So I can't pick one, but those are definitely my top three.
Yep.
Those are some good choices. I already have mine picked out. So
Okay. And
um it's in The Force Awakens, and it's when he's talking to Darth Vader's helmet, and he's like, you instantly in that scene you can just see, like he says, I feel it again, the pull to the light. Like it just shows you already how conflicted he is, how torn
Yeah,
apart he is, and how much he wants to be like Darth Vader, but he can't be because it's impossible. So
right.
I think that is one of the best Kylo Ren moments.
my favorite is Han Solo's death. I wish I could say that there was something even close to it, but that's that scene right there. And you know what's funny is that we were just talking about it, how that was spoiled for me. Han's death was spoiled for me. But the execution is what's so great about that scene. The actual scene is what's so great about that scene. Like, I was still so emotional watching that because, you know, Han Solo's like, yeah, you know, he's in my top, he's in my top 5 favorite Star Wars characters. So like to see him die, like that's emotional, even if you get the movie spoiled for you. But the execution was just so good. Like just the dialogue between Adam and Harrison, just such a great scene, and you just feel so bad, honestly, like about everything going on in that scene, like even like with Chewie watching from above and stuff, like, oh my god.
And also, if you notice, because I've seen this movie so many times, as the Starkiller base, as like it draws the power from the sun and the sun drains and you can't, and like it becomes dark, that's when Kylo kills Han. So like it's just the parallels. Oh, it's just so good. And also behind him you can see that it turns red, and before when he was like technically Ben, it was like blue and red. So look out for that next time you watch it and at me and tell me you were right.
It's good.
Yeah, and obviously in The Last Jedi he has that line where he says he had the opportunity. What does he say? I can't I can't even think right now.
What moment are you trying to bring up?
When the moment came, I didn't hesitate.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And that's I thought that like really paid off in The Last Jedi, like everything with Snoke. So yeah, I love Kylo Ren.
I think we all do. I think we all like Kylo Ren.
Where Kylo stands.
Did you get that right? Yeah. But should we move on to the poll now?
Oh yeah. Let's see what that's looking like right
voted?
now. Okay, so final results with 69.5%. 69.5% yes. So I wanted to talk about this because this conversation.
Justin and I are just gonna sit back now and just let Trevor rant about Anakin and Darth Vader. So.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, you guys agree with me though, right? So.
Yeah, obviously.
So, like when people do like their character rankings and stuff, I find it very.
Pillow and a blanket.
Huh? What?
I said I'm gonna go get a pillow and a blanket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When people do like their character rankings and stuff, I see that they separate Anakin and Vader, and I never understand why. For many reasons, but specifically the fact that they are literally the same character. They're just because they have two different personalities, I don't see why you would separate them. Like, they're the same person, and if you separate them, then that completely undermines Vader's redemption in Return of the Jedi and Anakin's fall to the dark side in Revenge of the Sith. Those, in my opinion, are the best storylines in all of Star Wars. I think that seeing Anakin's redemption and his fall, I think that those are the most well-made storylines in Star Wars. Now, when you separate the character, what do those storylines matter? Pretty much nothing. That means that means you view the character from a surface level point of view, which I don't understand why you would do that. It's like if you were to separate Ben Solo and Kylo Ren, and okay, sure, you might say, well, like at least it's the same actor. But the thing is, like, it was done in a different order. Like they were gonna.
Exactly.
I mean,
and,
we're all in agreement here. In
Yeah.
agreement here. You know.
and
Yeah.
also I want to like I just thought of this. Maybe it doesn't make any sense, but I see so many people on a daily basis say, "Oh, Kylo Ren, Ben Solo didn't deserve a redemption," but then they say that
Right.
like that Vader does, and obviously they both do, because I mean, who like everyone kind of deserves a redemption. Well, not everyone,
Right.
but
Yeah,
you get
I
what I'm
see
trying
what
to
you're
say.
saying.
Like
Yeah.
you can't say Kylo and Ben. I don't know what to call them, but don't deserve a redemption, but then say Vader, Anakin does, because I mean that just doesn't really make sense
Yeah.
to me. Because it's like, okay, so what's the point of Star Wars then, if there's no hope?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the like George Lucas literally changed the first Star Wars movie to the name A New Hope. I mean, that's literally the plot line of the first Star Wars movie. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that in.
Sam said in chat, he said it's like saying Peter Parker and Spider-Man are different characters. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, sure, you know, he's not a hero that turns to a villain. But well, I mean, I guess in some storylines,
Well,
but
No, yeah,
wait,
not for this
right,
example.
right. Just because someone puts on a mask, it doesn't change them. Just because there's different actors, it doesn't change. It doesn't change the character. Like, you know, they're the same character. Anakin and Vader. When I say Anakin, I don't only think of Hayden Christensen. Like I think of the Clone Wars. I think of Vader. Like I think of Anakin because
Everything.
it's Anakin Skywalker. It's just one guy. It's one character. They referred to Vader as Anakin Skywalker many times in the original trilogy, and like it just I don't understand why you would separate them unless. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. No.
no, yeah. Let's keep it civil.
I just think that some people I think that some people are too obsessed with Hayden Christensen, and I think that
Oh.
some people hate Hayden Christensen too much. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why a lot of
Yeah.
people separate them because like a bunch, you know, prequel fans, big prequel fans will be like, they'll see a cover for something. Like I remember when the Lego Star Wars cover came out, and prequel fans lost their mind because they're like, oh, where's Anakin? And it's like, oh yeah, you know, he's the biggest character right there in front
He's
and
right
center.
there. Darth Vader.
I don't know why you need to separate them, especially because it's not going to be Hayden Christensen since they're Legos. But you know, there's that, and I feel like a lot of people separate them because they like Vader and then they don't like Anakin in the prequels for
vice versa.
whatever reason. Yeah, vice versa too. And I don't really get that, but at the same time, if you view them as separate characters, you know, it is what it is. Like, that's fine with me. I'm not gonna lose my mind, but I will give
Are
you
you
a
sure?
fat L. You'll get a fat L from me for separating them because I just
Yeah.
because it's funny because like, you know, a lot of people that will have Anakin like in their top 5, you know, most of the time they just have it as Anakin, but when people don't have Anakin in their top 5, it's like, well, they have them separated. It's like, I wonder why, because you're looking at Anakin Skywalker as a one-dimensional surface level character. But anyways, yeah, that's about it for my rant.
Trevor's rant
And I
on
think that
Anakin
about-
Skywalker.
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. Darth Vader
Annie?
is Anakin Skywalker. Annie? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know if you guys did. You guys see that clip that I posted the other day from the Phantom Menace?
No.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I feel left out.
Okay, so basically, I tweeted something along the lines of, y'all say Anakin Skywalker's turn to the dark side was too quick.
Oh, I
But-
saw that.
Yeah. But forget that he had a taste for mass murder at the age of 9, and it was him blowing up like the one
Now
ship.
this is pod racing.
Now this is woohoo!
Or whatever it is he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
now
remember
this
that.
is pod. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean that like in a negative way, but like, yeah, like, I think that's another thing that like people misinterpret about Anakin. They're like, oh, his fall to the dark side was too quick, but like he committed mass murder at the age of 9, and then in Attack of the Clones he murdered an entire village of people, including women and children. So I mean, I'm pretty sure the signs were there all along, and on top of that, the Clone Wars exists to help with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I just, Anakin Skywalker is amazing, guys. Come on.
Anakin Skywalker is an underrated masterpiece.
Yeah. Anakin Skywalker is the underrated masterpiece, not just a. It's like,
Exactly.
come on.
Exactly.
Well, that
But-
about does it for today's episode. Thank you to everyone
Wraps
who's
it up.
joined us live on YouTube. Our next episode will be live at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time next Saturday. Hope to see you there. Do you guys want to say anything before we take off?
Have a good day. And that's
Yeah.
it from.
Thanks for the support. All
Yeah.
that.
Get Justin to 1,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, do that.
If I hit 1K, I've got the sweater. It's literally right next
Yeah.
to me. Okay. If I hit
We
1,000 followers on the app Twitter, I will be cosplaying as Ben Solo. All you have to do is get me to 4 digits, and then boom.
We would like to see it, so please.
CSI KFC.
I'm actually close. I'm only 18 away, so it's gonna happen. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah,
With some new things to talk about.
hopefully.
Yep. All right, everyone. See ya.
Yeah, hopefully.
Bye.
It's a trap.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The Force will be with you. Always.